Alright, so today I'm going to be playing TeleportVille, which is the fourth challenge of the Hammer Cup 2017. And basically the idea was that you had to make a map in 19 days based around the theme of teleportation. So we're going to jump right in. So this video is going to outline some of the issues with the maps and some of the good things with the maps. And I'm just going to point them out, and maybe if you're one of the mappers you can get a bit of feedback, or if you're someone who wants to make one of these kinds of maps yourself, you can learn something. So I'll try not to repeat myself too often, as I tend to do in a lot of my other material. To start off, we're going to be playing Portal Storm. Also, just to outline, this is the second time I've played all these maps, so sometimes I jump straight in, which is never a good idea for these kinds of videos. Sometimes I play them 6 or 7 times, especially if I'm judging. But this time I just played it through the once, but I've got a good grasp on all of the maps. It is lagging quite a bit. So this first map was a strange one, because it seems to be kind of all over the place in terms of where the direction it wants to take you. Like, it introduces a ton of cool things, but it's not very consistent in the way it does things. So basically you've already learned, oh yeah, there's a guy up here for some reason. Yeah, you've already learned that these electric teleporters take you places, and there's still more of these guys. I don't know actually where they are. Oh, he's up there. Yeah, you learn that these things teleport you, but to be honest, it could have been done slightly better, just for readability. If that, I guess you could see it over here, but it would have been, I guess, better placed over here where you could see it through this window directly. And I know, it may sound like, oh, that would be too easy, but to start off, you want to be making it as simple as possible, so the user, or the player rather, definitely gets a grasp on these game mechanics. I think it's good, like the concept of there's a puzzle, but you've got to find the teleporter basically to get through it, and it's something that could have been utilised a lot more. I thought this map was going to keep going with it, and it does keep going with the teleporters, but not in ways that are like really good or require much thought. Just a side note, these combine soldiers would be better placed where this guy is and this guy is. Basically what I'm trying to say is just take these guys who are right at the door out. I think they probably like run towards you, but here it's not a very fun fight. The player's not going to feel like they've achieved anything at all when they're placed there. But the guy up here and the guy down here were fine in terms of as much as you could get out of this. Putting them up here, because the player can't reach them directly. Now, I do hear combine soldiers everywhere. Oh no, I'm so bad at combat. This is the worst. I do think, yeah, it's difficult to try and get these NPCs not to just run straight at the player, but that would be a really good idea, so when they came through the teleporters they weren't completely swarmed. Basically, it gave them time to have a look about. I am sorry about the lag if it is affecting your viewing experience. There's nothing I can do about it currently. But you see, this is what I was talking about, the inconsistency is that I've no idea what I've just done. Basically, I've no idea where these portals are these teleporters are taking me. I've no idea what I'm achieving basically, and I think for this map it would be really good if the player knew exactly what they were doing, where they were going. Now, the issue I had with this is, yeah, you always... Yeah, there we go. I keep hearing enemies. It's just, I think the enemies keep moving about, and as I said, it'd be good to hold them back. I don't get this because it's like a teleporter here that you go into, and it leads you like just over here, which that's like the most pointless thing. I think if that's very unnecessary. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. But now we've got a change of scenery, which is actually alright. I guess for this kind of thing it's quite welcome having a change of scenery. We're now in a different location. You expect it to kind of get much more difficult here. I'm not sure why that thing's not working, but we'll just try and... Oh! What went... Oh yeah, I think that happened the last time, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so the thing is, you've got to that point where you're in the citadel, or wherever that area is, but then it takes you back outside, and I think that's a very counterintuitive thing to do. I think if you're moving levels, or you're giving the impression of the levels moving, stick to the level change and just, stick to it being in the citadel from then on. We do go back there, I think it's like this time here. Maybe. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't have had, the player go back there, basically. Then we've got some more combat, which I am terrible at, as you will all probably know. And then we're back outside again. And these portals, yeah, they're leading to different places, but I'll stress again, because I only mentioned this quickly at the start. The puzzle where you had to pull out the plug and take down the force field was what the mapper should have been aiming for. Is these kind of, not Portal puzzles, but like Portal, like you can think about them laterally, and it makes it fun. It gives the player something to think about, because combat is good, but when it's done not very sparingly, it becomes incredibly boring, and you know what I mean. Oh, I think we can fall there. And then we're back. That music might be a bit too loud. I'm sorry if that's been affecting you guys. Alright, so I think I've said everything I need to say, and if I keep going I'll probably just be repeating myself. So hopefully you've got everything out of that one. The next map's called Shadows. I think this map's quite dark. That's my first criticism, even though I don't really, I'm not a critique of how things look very often. At least I seem to remember. This one has quite an interesting setup, because I think this is quite cool. This guy, we're either a combine or a test subject or something like that, and we're going into this. We're being made to stand in this teleporter for some reason. And it's just the way it's all very ominous. I think the setup's really good, and it's especially in these Ville competitions, stuff like that is really is a good idea to put in. Anyway, right. So the first issue is you're already experiencing is that this map is very cramped, very, very cramped. It's the spaces are far too small. All right, the spaces are far too small for maneuvering about in and fighting and basically doing anything. Which small spaces are good, but not for what this map does. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And I'll give you a few examples as we go on. Alright, so I think that animation went on slightly too long. Just, you know, just so that the animation plays, but you're not impeded, and that really affects it later on in the game, in the map rather, which I'll no doubt point out when that does happen. But we're going to have the same thing again here. We're going to go up here. These guys are going to teleport about the place. You're going to back away, but the area is far too small. And I always say, you know, yeah, zombies are close quarters enemies, but this is like taking close quarters to the next level. Where, you know, I'm struggling to get through these doors. I mean, it's not so much... Well, it is. It's too narrow. It's too narrow. What on earth? This didn't happen the last time, guys. Let's see if I can get a triple kill. No. It's not happening. Oh, my torch has run out. I'm just going to break through the boxes. Actually, do we have a stronger weapon? No, we don't. Alright, so this next part's actually fairly well done. You can clearly see it says gas slayer, like it's very clear, and it's not done in a very silly manner where it literally, I mean, it makes sense in terms of gameplay. You may not agree, but especially for these Ville competitions, you know, it says gas, you've got to look for gas to power the generator, and I mean, I don't know why. I mean, you could just set it on top of it, but it was a good puzzle, and obviously it wasn't too difficult. It's not like I had to go for miles to find it. Now, I don't know what these noises are, but they are very distracting. You see there, I've no idea what's going on. I just saw like this zombie soldier, and he's got his grenade out. The players should be able to fight that with their vision not impeded that much. We're gonna have to back down. Nah, it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. Now, breaks my golden rule. You should know my golden rule. Actually, I have a few golden rules, but one of them is keep these combine at a distance and make sure the player can't run straight up to them. Another note is, I thought we were with the Combine at the start of this map. Why am I fighting these Combine soldiers? I actually, I mean, I would like to, you know, kind of take that comment back and be like, well, it doesn't actually really matter, it's a Smallville competition, but it's just little things like that that people like myself do question. It may seem stupid to like question that sort of stuff, but you know, it's the sort of thing people think about when playing these maps. So it's just stuff like that that you can put some thought into. Come on. Okay, that took longer than it should. Oh, there we go. My combat's failing me again. Looks like the game mechanics are failing this map again. What with these zombies rather spawning in exactly the same place. I don't know, I guess it can be easily done. The best way to utilise manhacks is having a lot of them at the same time. They're one enemy you can really spam at the player, where the player has to feel under pressure, similar to the canals section in Half-Life 2. I think the way that Valve invented them, and the way Valve initialized them, and you know, the way they utilized them rather, is the way that they are best used. So if you look at how they were used in Half-Life 2 at the start, the manhacks, then that's the best way. Having one manhack is probably not a good idea, and if, you know, it's just a waste of placing a manhack, even though it doesn't take much energy. Alright. Again, we've got really cramped space. Now this guy's actually on your side, which is very misleading. I thought he was against us the first time, and there I actually forgot. What I did do when I did play is just take this guy around as far as I could anyway. Oh, I was trying to open the door. But these zombies are getting very tedious to fight at the moment, and I know I'd said that the Combine didn't make sense, but at this point it's just zombie after zombie, and there's not much else to do, basically. Okay, it is taking much longer than I would have hoped. And I'm pretty sure this also breaks every single golden rule that I've ever outlined in my channel, but that's fine. I mean, it's a nightmare. Like, it's... I don't even know... Oh, see, missed him at point blank range, therefore all my criticism's invalid. Anyway. So yeah, this was a completely useless section. It's not at all fun or anything like that. You know, it was pointless, basically. Anyway, we're going to continue on. So this map didn't really have a theme, or well, it did have a theme that, in terms of like the Combine putting you in that thing, but it never carried on with that. So at this point, I'm thinking this map has long overdue its stay, if you know what I mean. It feels like it's going on too long, because it doesn't, as I say, have a theme or something that it can stick to, like a puzzle or a mechanic. It's just, you're just running, fighting, every now and again getting teleported. It's not consistent. So yeah, by this point it's really pointless. And I say that in the best, you know, in the best possible light. I think if it had been cut shorter and had more of a structure to it, it would be fine. I know there's a man hack there. I'm just ignoring him at the minute while I deal with the bigger guys. Actually, there's a lot of man hacks. So this is a better way of using man hacks. So obviously the offer did have that kind of stuff in, you know, thing in mind. See, these guys, they get everywhere. I know he's still behind me. I don't really care. If I hadn't have had that, that would have been a terrible fight. Yeah. But the combat is literally not very good. Like, and again, I'm saying this to help the offer. I'm not saying this to be mean or nasty or anything like that. It just needs to be more structured, and just the way you think about placing these soldiers. And the way they're all just rushing in that one area doesn't make it fun, doesn't test my reflexes, it doesn't make me feel like I'm playing a first-person shooter. You know, it doesn't make me feel like I'm actually playing like Half-Life or something like that, which is what you're wanting to aim for. It's kind of an aim. Ah, time to get this thing out again. Was there any more of these guys? No, there wasn't. Right. Pushing on. You now get like this weapons locker, which is, you know, which kind of foreshadows, you know, that something's going to happen, something big. You're going to be in a big fight. And there is a lot of stuff to gear up. So I'm going to step out this door, and it would actually be good to signify that this door's open, so maybe have a light or something. I don't think it opened before. So yeah, just something to tell the player that's where to go, because I actually backtracked quite a bit over there the first time. You see, it's useless. I said I wouldn't repeat myself. I am repeating myself an awful lot here. But yeah, it's pointless having them right round the corner. One thing I said in a previous video that I really only started thinking about recently is when you walk into a room, you don't want every single combine or any enemy you come up against to be just like standing there waiting for you. You want them to be part of a living world. You want to walk in and you want these enemies to be, I guess, doing stuff. And I know it's difficult to script, but there are ways you can make it look like, you know, they're doing stuff. Now this is where this thing goes on too long, and it just impedes the vision. Oh. But the issue with this fight is that you can't... yeah, the way the Strider should be used in combat isn't standing there and just firing at it. You should be made to move from place to place, like, for instance, outside the old bank or museum or whatever it was. The ammo was spaced out and you had to move from your location to kill the Striders. and then you had to go back and get the ammo from elsewhere and find it. You had to keep moving, but there the ammo was all there for you. It's the same in Half-Life 2 Episode 1 at the end, where you had to, well, I think you were just outright dodging that Strider until, the very end when you fought him, but it wasn't that you were just standing there and you had all the ammo there, and it makes it much more thought-provoking if you think, right, I've got to go over here to get the ammo, or I've got to, peek out here to kill the Strider, but then, then I've run out of bullets, then I've got to find new ammo. Just stuff like that for using the Strider instead of just having like an open room and a bit of cover and a lot of ammo. Anyway, right, the next map is Telev. This is like an alternative universe of Half-Life 2, I guess, with Dr. Kleiner and his teleporters. I'm just trying to remember this one. This one was one of these ones that didn't build on the things it introduced. So you can see here, you can see that there's a teleporter, there's also a stalker over there. Step inside here and we're through. So you're kind of learning very quickly. Now, this is actually similar to a location, at least it's based off a location from Half-Life 2 when you're in the Nova Prospekt, and obviously usually you'd throw it in there, but I think what you've got to do here is throw it into that teleporter and it goes through there. You can see it's the same texture, so it should be fairly easy to work out. I mean, I was the first time still throwing them in here, but it's it's fairly simple to work out. And again, this map falls victim to spawning enemies right in front of you, which I know that's good. I know that idea is that the enemies are teleporting. I like that idea. It's been an idea that I've seen before, and it's been done very well before. But spawning them right in front of you is not a good idea, because it's all like sudden, and then you shoot them straight away. Oh, hey there. Didn't notice him the first time.
Cleverly done, Mr. Freeman, but you're not supposed to be here. As a matter of fact, you're not. Get back where you belong and forget about all this. Until we meet again.
Okay, so the main issue with that map is the fact that I did mention at the start, there was no structure in terms of the teleporting. Like, there was that one puzzle where you dropped the grenade in and it came through, and I thought, when I first tried it, I thought, this is really good, this could be a really good map. But then after that, there wasn't any of that. And if it stuck to that formula of being a puzzle-based map rather than a combat-based map, it would have done much better in my books, and certainly I'm pretty sure it would have done much better in the judges' books as well, or the judges, the way they judged it, because combat is good and all, but the way puzzles and lateral thinking is done is sometimes more rewarding to the player, giving them a better view on your map and a better experience in general. But yeah, that was Telev. Next map is Arctic Rumble. Alright, Arctic Rumble.
Good to see you're up and awake, Dr. Freeman.
Wow, he was up and awake super quickly there. Oh.
As you can see here, the Resistance have managed to salvage some combine technology to create a new teleport device. We have programmed the teleport
I am on
to take you directly outside one of the combine
low
operations.
detail
You will
at the moment.
destroy all
Look at that jacket.
away inside the core of the base. Locate their main power source and destroy it any way you can. I won't lie, Doc, this won't be an easy task. There will be combines everywhere, so stay alert. This will be a one-way mission, so I hope you are ready. Stock up on weapons and ammunition, and we will get started.
Now the good thing about the instructions being here is the fact that these guys are telling you what to do. These guys are giving you the deal instead of writing it in like game text. The mapper's not telling you. These guys are, if you know what I mean. It's all part of the immersiveness of it. Not that people play Half-Life for it being immersive, but if you want to keep continuity, it's best to tell the player stuff through the game rather than through the tools. Okay, so this one completely destroys my frame rate, so I am really sorry. There's not much I can do at the moment. I'm just going to push through it. It gets better over here. Much, much better. And so we've got to defend these things. And it's one of these combat, you know, combat features where these guys all run in from different directions and you have to be on your toes. Slightly cramped, that's what I would say. It's good that they're coming from multiple directions. They're not just running from the same place. In fact, that's really good. You know, one's here and you can't like watch this while watching that. Oh. One thing I'd say is I would give the Combine more cover, personally. If I was making this, I would give the Combine more cover and the player less cover. Because as a player, you see here I'm not using any of the cover, and the first time I played I did play on hard, and I didn't utilize all of this cover here. Except for when this guy came, he's just annoying. There's also these things which you can use to... Yeah, they are an extra tool there for you to use. So you could have placed these things down before you push the button. Guess they would have been good. But yeah. So that battle was alright. That's what I'd say. But if you gave the Combine more cover and the player less, it would have been even better. Right. This is actually quite cool. This map, or this part of the map, reminds me of like a level from Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which, if you know me, you know I like that game quite a bit. Not as much as the first Mirror's Edge, but oh, I almost got them all. But yeah, it reminds me of like that train level. I can't remember what you were doing in the level, but I just remember it looked similar to this, but not set in an icy place. And again, you see enemies being spawned in. Like that. Okay, this guy's possessed by Satan. What's this, a new feature of PTSD or something? Oh my word. He's like doing a slow... It's like he's on drugs and he's trying to do a dance or something. And he's done. No, he's still going. He's still got a bit of it and he's dead. Right. And then there's this kind of ending skate thing. This thing reminds me of the end of Half-Life 1 if you don't step into the portal with G-Man. I think that's kind of what they were going for. What the author was going for. Maybe. I mean, it's a shame that you couldn't go back to the Rebels and finish the story. But, you know, it was... It's alright. Okay, I think I said everything I need to say about that map. The next map is called Portal Technology. Alright, so this is a first map, which is good. I love first maps. I love people entering these contests as first maps. You know, it's a good place to try and learn, basically, because you're under pressure of 19 days. So yeah, so I'm gonna try and point out a lot of the flaws and some of the good stuff, I guess. I actually can't remember much of this map, but at the moment it is very linear, like very linear. I wouldn't make it so linear until you get out here when you're like, there's slightly more, well, there probably needs to be more places to explore. And they don't have to be big places, and they don't need to have so much work put in. But just so you're not running down a linear path, it makes it much more entertaining for the player, and also increases the longevity of your map. Okay, so then there's writing on screen telling you it's hardcore, which is fake news because it's not that hardcore. And this fight is... I'm probably going to say it's not hardcore until that happens. Yeah, okay, it's very hardcore, I'm not going to lie. It's hardcore to the extent where it's not really, if you just come out... If you come out fighting like that, it's not actually that bad. Yeah, these guys shouldn't be placed just standing there. They should be moving about, and there shouldn't be that many of them, basically. When you go into combat, you want your combat to be fun and thought-provoking, and walking in on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 perhaps, maybe 8, maybe 9. Combine just standing there in a very small enclosed space is not fun or thought-provoking, and it doesn't test your reflexes unless you're like in that corner and you've had like 50 grenades chucked at you. Anyway, let me get to this bit now. I'm not sure why these are like that. I think it could be a problem with the mod, as in, you know, the way it's been packed by the mod offer, or the map offer rather. I don't know. I do apologise. It's going to get worse. But then it tells you to break a crystal. Now, if the mapper of this is watching, which is, you know, kind of the way I always make these videos. I always make these videos as if the person who made the map is watching and they can take my feedback. That is, you don't need to put writing on screen to tell you the objective. In fact, steer clear of that. It completely breaks the... again, I'll say immersion, although it's not the sort of immersion you'd get out of an RPG or something. It's kind of... Ouch, this is really hurting my eyes. Yeah, it's kind of just... to keep it within continuity, it's... Instead of, like, the last map, there was... The things were drawn on a... on the board. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, there's still one of these guys. Yeah. So it's as if like the rebels were telling you. Sorry, this is it. It's rather difficult with broken textures. Thanks for the game. Yeah, so that map, you know, it was a definite first map, and you know, these things can be worked on throughout time. And you know, if you're in doubt, anyone watching this, go and watch my tips and tricks for new Half-Life 2 mappers. I can't remember what it's called. It's like one of my most popular videos. You know, that stuff still holds up to this day, even though it was made over a year ago. And you know, I'd like to add to that video, although it is what it is. So go and watch that for tips and tricks on how to make your maps fun, thought-provoking. Next, we've got Through Space Time. This one's actually one of these themes that I actually thought was really good. It's been like this theme's sort of kind of been done before. I'm not sure if it's the same person. I can't actually remember, but I didn't read that. It was probably just telling you who the person is, which is fine, but make it longer. But yeah, this thing is really good because it's showing you from the way it was from the past or the present and the way it is in the future. Obviously now it's all run down, and I really like that kind of theme. But then we've got like this long corridor, which I don't think it serves a purpose. I think, you know, if you're going to make an area like this, it probably should serve a purpose. But then we're outside. I mean, it's jumping all over the place, but it's fine. That was supposed to be a jump scare, guys. That was supposed to be a jump scare. And you know, it's kind of a horror at the moment. It's kind of horror type, and it is definitely, this part is definitely horror. You know, I don't believe, you know, I see a lot of people say, "Oh, that wasn't horror because I never got scared." It's like, that's not what the criteria of, you know, if something isn't not horror if you didn't find it scary. That's not how it works. Like, for instance, a love story is not a love story because they didn't think it was romantic. It's, yeah. So it is still horror. I would definitely class this as horror. but whether or not it's good is yet to be seen, basically. But you do have, in this section, the ability to do that. You know, everyone likes to burn things. We're all pyromaniacs in our own way. And actually, I think no, we couldn't actually do that. Oh, and the torch has gone out. But again, as with a lot of these, it feels super unstructured. Just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the theme about teleporting. You want to teleport into different locations, like literal locations. But it just doesn't seem to be keeping much continuity at the moment. It does actually, this actually gets better, this map, in terms of continuity. For instance here, we're now back where we started, basically, in this facility. And we can see it's different, basically. It's almost brand new. Ah yeah, there's a door here. It's not very well signposted. But yeah, you can walk up here, you can walk up to, and you push the button to start up the portal. So you're kind of, or the teleporter rather. So you're kind of going through the different eras. And the funny thing is here, that I find rather funny, is you can go this way. And there's this guy, he's waiting kind of a train station. It's like, notice this door will not open for 205 years and you can't get in there. So I think, at first I thought, what's that about? That's so stupid, what? I don't get it. But it's one of these things that you only get after you step in here and it goes back, or it's rather in the future, it's all run down. Back to the future. Yeah, it's all run down and then you walk in here, you can see it's been all destroyed. It'd be good if you could actually get back up there again, just to keep exploring. And you walk in here, and he's waited for so long, and this thing's open. And then it does one of these weird things that a lot of the maps do, but then that was the point I think the map should have ended, but it didn't. And then there's that jump scare, which, let's be fair, it got me the first time. That was by Matt71490, and that, yeah, it was a good idea, like seeing the facility at the start of its life and the end of its life, or rather in the past and in the future, but it just wasn't connected very well, and especially the bit in the middle where you went to the mine shaft and then went here, went there. It was just unconnected. Okay, so the next map is called Hydroport. Alright. So this is one of these things where you can see where you're going to come out, but you've just got to get around the barricade. Now the best way I think of doing this, I don't know why I'm analysing such a little thing, is just to put a fence with a gate, because having like a place that you can clearly run through, I believe that you should be able to run through, especially as big as this. It's not like there's like a little gap between here. So just, you know, putting a fence there can make all the difference. I know it's like such a little gripe, and it doesn't affect my view of the map at all. It's just, you know. Now I'm preparing here because we're going to walk over here and then he's going to spawn. But then once you've done that, we then have to bombard him with tables. At least I think this is how you do it. And he, you know, this hunter kills these NPCs, which I think is quite cool. It doesn't just go after you. I think that sort of thing is good. I mean, we managed to save this guy. I like it how it became a challenge of, you know, which one can we save, or how many can we save, and it's like one of these, you know, I guess in like an RPG, if that happened, then there'd be consequences later on. Here, there is no consequences, but that's alright, because, you know, it's just a bit of, you know, it's not, for starters, it's not an RPG, so you can move on without any consequences that, for instance, they've all died, but also, yeah, it's just a little fun thing that players like to happen. They like to, I guess, save citizens, to put it in easy words. But not just that. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do to kind of make it feel like it's a living world and all that. Okay, these guys being, you know, your squad. Could have been utilised. I think it should have been utilised much more, because it's not really utilised at all in this. I don't know, they're just there for the sake of being there. But again, it becomes a competition of how many can you keep alive. Which, again, it's good, it's an incentive even though there's no outcome. Okay, that'll be the last time I mention that. I know I went on about that. But it's a small minor thing like that that can make a map 10 times better anyway. Is there anything up here we can get? There is, I actually didn't look, I actually didn't notice this the first time. Now, the medkit's good and all, but how on earth am I getting out of here? Just one moment, I'll be right back. Alright, and I'm out eventually. So the squad's following, but it's, I guess, fairly pointless. But it's good to hide goodies like this all over the place. It rewards you for searching. It rewards the player. I really like that. Because exploration's like one of my favourite things. Just like, if you create a world, instead of making it linear, it's best to add like locations that don't progress you, but you know, it makes it feel like a living place. Now, I made that jump the first time. I thought I could do it again. I thought it'd look pretty good, but I didn't. It's so much harder when you know you're being recorded. But anyway, we made it out alive. Obviously, this is electrified. Now, I think that wire should be facing that way. I think that was the intent, probably, and it's just not worked. But a nice little jumping puzzle that, you know, we all love. It's good to board up areas. It just gives the player some more interaction. Instead of like just running through, I had to stop, I think, right, what do I do? Get my crowbar out and start bashing away. Here's another puzzle, because I was like pushing that, I wasn't sure what to do, although it's one of these things that there's not a lot of things in here that solutions, so obviously the solution comes across fairly obvious. Now, I think there's just, yeah, it was just like not configured correctly, but that's fine. But it's a simple look for the lever, find the lever and attach the lever. It's the same with like the valve you know, like literal valve, not the company valve, but these valve puzzles where you turn the valve and it opens something, or the water spurts out or something like whatever, but you've got to find the component before actually doing it, and it just adds an extra element, an extra layer, and it's a very good thing. But not too much. Like with all of these mechanics, when I say it's a very good thing, you've got to censor yourself, or restrict yourself rather, not censor. You've got to restrict yourself on how often you do it, because you can't have like a mod with only searching for levers and stuff like that. It's about adding all of the different cool mechanics together in your mod, and then having a little bit of combat that is fun, and then that makes that means you have the perfect mod. Although I don't think I've ever played the perfect mod. I think there have been a few that have come close, but not yet. So it's pretty clear what we have to do here. We've seen it being done in the games. We've got to destroy that. Now this fight with this gunship's pretty difficult. Like, not because he's good at shooting, just because he's good at shooting that thing. Now you've got to come in low, but yeah, this took me a good 15 minutes to complete the first time. You see how I kind of came in low and went like that? As long as it's always moving towards him, but I think it was one of these things that up here there's like a trigger that said on that brake or something, so that's why it came like flying towards me. But yeah, that map was I really don't know what to make of that map. That's like the first map out of all of these that have stumped me where I don't know. Like, it had good mechanics, but it was pretty quaint in terms of what there was in it. But it was slightly better than a lot of the other ones. Again, it didn't really have a structure to it. And I'm sure some people would disagree and say that map wasn't good at all, but it actually had a lot of good elements in it. But it just needed to be more structured, and the elements could be tweaked slightly. Now we're on the crab. Okay, you know how I feel about writing on screen, and I've spoken about it, and yeah, it's definitely take shot of it. I don't actually think that was needed. I think if you came in to this map and played without seeing any of that text, I think it would have been fine. It would have worked well. The story would have worked well. But I always say that if you have a good story and you don't have any voice actors, don't do the story. Wait until you can properly execute the story in your map before actually, instead of just putting in and throwing the story, this cool story you've got, away with text on screen. Anyway, with that being said, this is by far the best looking map, and you may say, oh, it doesn't look good at all, it looks pretty basic. So did Half-Life 2. You know, Half-Life 2 is not supposed to be an ultra realistic game where it's supposed to look, you know, like something on the Unreal Engine 4. It's supposed to give you a kind of feel for the maps, or feel for the areas, but it's not supposed to completely 100% simulate a real area. And this map does it well. It actually builds up good atmosphere. It's very Lost Coasty sort of atmosphere, if you know what I mean. There's not a lot of detailing like here, but and again, there doesn't need to be. So that's why it's so good. And then over here, you know, these buildings are very well done, especially that building. It's kind of a focal point. You can tell I really like this map, apart from the writing on screen. But yeah, I think this is probably the winner. I don't know. I can't think of any other maps that come close to it. but it uses a teleport feature that we've seen. You know, there's a teleporter here and a teleporter anywhere else, and you know, they just take you to various places on the map, and certain places you can't get to until you find a teleporter. It's very well structured, this, because obviously we've got like 1, 2, I guess 3, potentially 4 main location buildings. I mean, there is an area underneath as well, but I guess that counts as that. But it's just the way the pacing of it, you know, at the start it kind of slowly breaks you into it, and you know, you can go and you can look about here. This area I think only serves as a, you know, a looking area. I think you can also make it, yeah, find, you know, goodies that you if you weren't looking about, you know, you wouldn't get them. So it's very well done with the stuff there. Now here we can peer into an area that we're not going to reach for a while, I think. You know, yeah, that's kind of that building we won't be in until later. So now, which way was it? Underneath? I think it could be underneath. But you got to find your way into the building to begin like the full, you know, the progression from building to building. Now this is really cool, I think. Yeah, we got to push the button.
Careful, Lamar. These lamps are quite hot. Is this on? Yes. Very well. I am not much of a public speaker, but I'll do my best. Once you're safely ensconced in the transmitter, we can begin.
Right along there, and watch your step.
What idiot put Kleiner in charge? So much for better living through science.
Yeah, I'll put it on your tombstone.
Initializing in 3, 2, 1. Is Lamar with him?
Now that is a perfect way, well maybe not perfect, but that's a really good way of telling your story. Because you don't have to like script any of the characters in real time here. I mean, I'm not sure how that was done, if that was in a different location in the map, I'm not sure. But it's not as if they're facing the player or anything like that. You've told like a perfect story, like they were trying to teleport this guy and then the zombies attacked them. And it was using recycled dialogue, which some people don't like the whole recycled dialogue thing, but I think it's a really smart thing to do, and especially to make it work like that in the way it was just great. So that's how story and narrative should be delivered in your maps, and especially for Ville competition. It's really good. You know, you don't need writing on screen. Anyway. I'll stop going on about that. I know you all get sick and tired of it. Where's my weapon? Oh, we don't have any weapons. It's odd how there's no weapons and yet there's a lot of zombies, but it does give you the option to do that. I guess we could do that with the beds as well. And I missed. Things aren't going so well. Oh, where's my... There he is. Also, you can come outside and it gives you more space. You know what, just to save time, we'll just hit him. Look at that. That can teach you that weapons can fly through it. Where did you come from? You see, the thing is, these guys are... I get the impression there are other places on the map and you're not supposed to reach them until much later, but because they can jump everywhere, they're just like... That's what they're doing. Anyway, we've learned the mechanic of going through these. Obviously, we learned that much earlier on. We can now start to navigate this area and basically find the way to Kleiner. Because we have a goal. This is something that other maps didn't have. This, you know, we've got to make our way to Dr. Kleiner, and we know he was part of some experiment that went horribly wrong, some teleport experiment. And the good thing is these guys, they also come through the teleporters, which means you've got to constantly be watching out for stuff that's going on. I don't think there's anything down there. What is that? I think it's just a light. So now we're in that building that I pointed out at the start, the one I said we will get a look into. I can't remember where this thing goes though. Oh yeah, yeah. I do remember. Because we have to get the batteries. Now, I don't think we know that yet. Obviously, as a first time player, we wouldn't know that, but because... You know, to save time, I have one of these. But this is a simple find... Oh wait, no, we're supposed to be in there. Yeah, find the batteries puzzle. And they slot in, so you know you're trying to find them, you know that they will be somewhere close by in the map. And it turns out that this one is super close. And the other one's further away, so one involves finding it directly. I think maybe the map offer was intended you to find that one first because it's right in front of you as you go through there, because you learn about it, you find it, and then the other one you have to go and search for, but we went the other way about. But, you know, it's teaching the mechanic very well. It's really difficult to not get, because obviously there was one already in... There was a battery already in the thing, so yeah. And then this powers the elevator to the top. And it's great to kind of see out all of the scenery. And there we see Kleiner. We know we're going in the right direction. We know we have to go into here. Okay, so there we go, more recycled dialogue. It fits reasonably well. And we can easily... We know that there's going to be some sort of battle. And that it's not going to go very well for us, probably. And yeah, as I said before, it's a good thing they can use the teleporters to their advantage. Anyway, there is a gunship who just, for some reason, randomly fires at that house, but hey ho, we'll roll with it, and then we can. It then opens up a place you couldn't go before, which is good. So you can run away. Last time I did this, I was on like 4 HP or something like that. But we're now climbing up the famous lighthouse, so we actually get to that location that you've seen right from the very start. And you know, as a player, I was really excited to go there. But now I can, you know, I'm in it, and albeit it's pretty underwhelming. Oh wait, no, that's the way out. You still, you know, you can still go there. Are you sure that door can't open? No. Now, do we have to climb up all over again to get ammo? Probably. I don't know, I did it first time last time. There we go. So there we go. That was a pretty good boss fight. And then here comes Kleiner. A very good ending to the mod as well, the map. Instead of like just the thing fading to black, there's actually some, I guess you'd call it, closure. But yeah, so that was a really good ending. I mean, it's not like it's like the saddest ending or anything actually happened. It just closed out the map like a normal, you know, Half-Life 2 map. You'd think it would happen. So that was by far the best, in my opinion, and probably most people's opinion, just because of all of the things I outlined. The next map is called Hotel Alpha Teleport. So it gave you a bit of backstory there, albeit I still didn't get it all. But anyway, you know, the beginning's quite good when there's sound effects and you wake up and you're in a bin. I think that's very good. And actually, this area has quite a bit of atmosphere. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it reminds me of where I live or whatever. But yeah, it's got a good bit of atmosphere. Like this is the back of some hotel or something like that. And so that's what the name of the map is. Hotel something. And then introduces a crowbar. You know, it's stuck in the wood, and then you know to take it. Now, that's only really for people who have never played, you know, Half-Life 2 before or whatever, but it's still good to do. I mean, I still think it's really good from a games design perspective to do stuff like that. Even if you know that everyone who plays your map knows about all that stuff. Anyway, so there we go. So then this thing opens. This, I guess it's a back door, although it appears more like a front door. Actually, that probably doesn't come off at all. You should probably, you know, shoot it off, maybe. Yeah. And then here's some weird things going on now. What did we have to push? Ah, it's the lever. Actually, these guys can probably jump over... Yeah, maybe not, I don't know. I was just wondering what the point in that was, if he couldn't really attack you. Maybe it was just for show. Or something like that. This is where the thing starts to flop a little. Just a little, not like... It's just, again, combat here is very enclosed. And they're running straight up to you. But then you've got this area and it kind of feels that you can explore and look about. You can see this is where we were before. Again, these guys, it would be good if they were doing something. Like, if there was one guy in here and he was facing the panel and doing all that sort of stuff, and you could see he's there. And you think, oh well, obviously I can sneak up and then open the doors, sneak up on him and take him out with stealth. That would be good. It may be difficult to do, but then again, it pays off, and it's definitely something that players enjoy doing. So we're just going to stock up on that. So we've taken down this force field. Yo, that guy's looking out the window. I could have... Well, I think the first time I tried to sneak in and I got so far. It's stuff like that that's good. Instead of just like them all waiting at the door for you, as we've seen in some of the maps already today. Now, do we have a grenade? No, we don't have a grenade. Oh, we do. We've got one grenade. It's always good to have grenades about when these turrets are about. For obvious reasons. And then there's a lot of stocking up, so you know that there's a big fight coming somewhere. I'm just trying to think, did we need to do anything else? No, I don't think so. I think I just opened up this door, yeah. I actually looked about a while, I wasn't sure it did this the first time, but... I mean, there's not a lot of places it could be, so, yeah. And then this is kind of the big fight, which is... very much an enclosed kind of environment, with a lot of enemies attacking you at the same time. It's not a bad thing. It's not like really, really bad. And these, you know, the way in the order of the enemies coming in seems somewhat coordinated, but I think it could be even more coordinated, basically. I'm just going to crowbar them all, because why not? Right, time to get the gun out. But I would have like a definitive wave of manhacks. A definitive wave of normal Combine soldiers. A wave of Combine elites, perhaps. Because, I mean, there's these guys up here, which is kind of a distraction. But yeah, I just split it into definitive waves instead of like having a lot of them coming at the same time. Also, these guys up there are good, but if they came at a different time from all the other ones, then, you know, it would make it much easier to coordinate your thoughts rather than make it a free-for-all, desperate, mad panic. You know, because, you know, there it doesn't like test your reflexes, you're just running about shooting, but, you know, this map... Wait, where do we go? Ah, yeah, teleporter. Yeah, this map could easily be fixed. You know, it was going in the right direction a lot of the time. And it does this weird ending thing, which is alright. But overall, yeah, it was good that there were, you know, the ideas. I saw that seeds of the ideas there, but they just need to be worked on. For instance, the waves. You know, you got like the Combine looking out the window. If a lot of the Combine soldiers were doing that and busy when you came to them, basically, it would be much better. So it's going in the right direction, and you know, these guys made a map, I think, for Black Mesa Dorville. It was like set in office complex, and you know, they're gradually improving as mappers, and I think that's really good, and I like to see like the way people progress. So that one wasn't bad at all. The next map is called Undefined Destination. Nice little title coming in with the music there. So, off the bat, you can't get in here obviously, but you can look in here and you can see that, at least I thought that was the way, and you think, well, we've got to get around there. I actually didn't notice that area at all. But then if you go around here, obviously, clear the boxes, there it is. So for some reason that was definitely clear, but that wasn't. I don't know what that was, but we find the crowbar, now we can loop. So it's all looping, there's a lot of looping going on. Or just a bit of it. And you come round, and then we can now get through the main entry point and peek outside at what is to come, basically. I really like the fact that you can see the battleground you're going to be fighting on. Here is the valve puzzle I was talking about before. There's no valve, you need to stop it, stop yourself, because obviously if I try and pass here, I get killed. What I would do is I would not make it so when you walk through you die, but it pushes you back. You know, it means that you can't progress. It doesn't like outright kill you. We see here that there is a vent. Just by searching about. Now, if I can get in here. Incidentally, I can go along this way. And I do come out where, you know, in the first room. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to push straight on. We get the gravity gun and we get the valve. Which we can then turn. Alright, so we see where we have teleported to. I don't know what significance. I guess it's that thing there. But now we've got a bit of open combat, which is the best kind of combat. It's a wide open space. You can choose to fall back when you want. These guys are slowly pushing forward, but they're not running straight at me yet. But you know, I could back right down here where they can't see me. I can scan the area. I've got plenty of weapons. It's good. Look, he's even throwing grenades, and I've got to fall back. And I can move here. I can move to my own cover. I don't need to. I'm not confined to being back there. But it's good to pick up this thing, because this will help me destroy these hunters, basically. You know, maybe it's too easy to give you this RPG when the hunters arrive, but hey ho, it's there. Then we've got this thing which is slowly making its way around. It's not difficult to destroy. Even on hard mode it's still fairly easy. And then you get the usual gunship, which is good. It's good how it's kind of going up in waves, like it's not throwing all these things at you at once. There we go, and he's getting completely wrecked. Crashes into the tower. I've seen that before. It's probably the same mapper who did that. But yeah, so there we go. So it was a pretty easy, but it was more rewarding than a lot of other fights. Just that whole section from the moment you walk out that door to the moment that tower gets completely wrecked. Now, yeah, we're gonna fall down here. It's quite cool. Didn't notice that the first time. So we've learned what these things do. We can actually see whenabouts we should fall down. Now, the first time I did this, I got lucky. And that time I planned it. So you really have to get the mechanic, and sometimes the mechanic hasn't been taught. But it's something that you can get fairly easily. You're constantly being able to see forward and where you're going to go, and you can see that there's another one there, and that's where you got to go. Foreshadowing, it's just a really good thing to do. So recall that, and then there's this guy. And this is a commonly done puzzle where instead of letting you like go you're through, you're still sticking to the main progression path, and you get led off it here, but then you can open it up, and it just increases the how long the map is, but also continues giving the player interaction. Now that is beautiful in terms of a Half-Life 2 map. I do like I think it's volumetric lighting or whatever it's called. The thing is, I think this takes a while to spin up. So, and this is why these guys get thrown in. And again, it tends to be a very controlled wave of these guys. That's what this map is good at. It's good at controlling the waves. So even rubbish people at combat like me still have time to take them all down. These guys are just running at me. I'm just missing all my shots. You know what? Easiest way to deal with these guys. It'd be nice if there was like a secret room up there with hidden Easter eggs or something like that. So that was Undefined Destination, and that was actually one of the better ones in this challenge. It had the combat was great. you could easily learn the mechanics. It had fairly good structure. I mean, it wasn't like it was the most structured map I'd ever played, but for the most part, it was very, very good. The next one is body swap. Okay, so this one's confusing because I've just swapped bodies, or rather I've killed him, but now I'm where he was. So I thought that mechanic was going to be, you know, it's like kill an elite to teleport to his position. So it's only elites basically, which is a good idea, but you know, it took me a while to get. But you know, you can kill him with any weapon. So if we like killed this guy, we're now over here. So I thought, at this point I thought, well, this could be used quite well. You know, this can actually be utilized quite well, and there could be a lot of good challenges and puzzles and whatnot. So there we go. I mean, it's simple, but the combat there was, you know, well done. Let's be fair. It was like you came out here, these guys were all up there. It wasn't like they were pushing you. You could think about it. You could look. You can peek back in here, and then you got that guy, so you could immediately teleport over there. So it's not like the best use of the mechanic, but it's still very well done. So now we've got some more combat, but even then, I mean, it's still pretty good. Like in terms of what other maps try and do, this one is really good, and also it gives you all this stuff, all these goodies you pick up. What's next? Yeah, this one. So now we've got a bit of a mini boss battle. Which is, you know, it was alright. I mean, obviously it does give you space. It was actually a really enjoyable battle then, and this was actually, you know, fairly well done. I mean, it could have been in a less open space where you could kind of weave between more buildings, if you know what I mean, but it wasn't bad at all. So you kill that guy, and obviously you get teleported to where he is. You know, like this area could have been used in the battle where you know, the gunship battle where you weave and you can kill him out there, and then there's another open space here, but just like places to move rather than a wide open space. But that's all stuff that could be worked on. Did we get everything over here? Well, there were two guys just standing there. And obviously that light was, you know, showing you where to go. Which is really, you know, just to change the map, it's fine. You don't really need to see through there. We get the idea. I'm gonna take down that guy. And then we have a car driving section. Which, in the grand scheme of things, is very, very basic. But in this scenario, that's not a bad thing. Because it does this thing, the thing that it doesn't Half-Life 2, where it stops the player from progressing too far, so the player can get it out and hunt about. Now, the way this could have been made funner is if these guys didn't attack you immediately when you got out of the car. The player, it would have been more beneficial if the player could choose what building to go into first and not being attacked, so they could stand there and think, well, shall I go in here? Also giving the player multiple ways of attacking the buildings, like if the player, because if you remember in like the coast section in Half-Life 2, some buildings you got to and you could hear the Combine inside it and you could look for the windows and see them, but they didn't attack you, so you could throw a grenade in, you could, you know, use the secondary fire on the SMG gun. That would have made this section really, really, really good if that sort of thing had you know, been in it. I mean, overall the driving section here is also very, very short, and I don't really agree much with short driving sections. I think also, like, I think you could keep going and finish the map. Something tells me that this should have been... There should have been something happening here. Anyway, here, same again. Have it so that the player can look through the window, see the Combine, maybe, I don't know, having a little meeting, having a sit down, having a smoke, something like that. And have the player choose how they're going to, you know, take on the situation. Also, I think there's a bit too many Combine soldiers here for the amount of space. I don't think there needs to be like all of these different Combine soldiers. Anyway, we've got a chopper section, which I don't think I completed this. I think I just got in the car and drove. Which is probably not very good of me. I'm trying to catch one and it keeps... I don't think I hit it once then. Oh, he's going over here. Okay, so there we go. After about 5 minutes, I've completed it, and I think the idea was that he crashed into this, and that took down the shield or something like that. But that was a good idea. And there we go. That was body swap. Now, the thing about this is that the whole idea of swapping bodies wasn't the main focus, and it should have been. But what was there anyway was actually alright. The combat was really good, and I liked the fact that the driving section was implemented, and it wasn't just drive to an area and get out. It was actually drive, take down a force field, drive, potentially take down a force field, albeit it was broken. But the idea was really good. So that's a step in the right direction. I definitely see. That's another little mapper that I see improving constantly for all these vills and maps. So the last map in the Ville that isn't a bonus map is called Station Zero. This map is quite confusing, like very confusing. You can see that you've got to power up the thing. It's just in what order you do it. So, obviously here, the door's closed. You can't get through there at all. Now I'm just going to do it the correct way here because I can't be bothered running about everywhere because it just takes far too long basically. You can see in there's like a console which isn't very clear. Like if you don't know what you're looking for, it's not very clear, but there's like a decontamination chamber here. You know, this map does, you know, well building up some atmosphere, you know. Kind of an on edge kind of atmosphere, but then yeah, it takes out that. We've now unlocked the submarine dock, which is far. I don't know why. I don't know why I went back there when I could just jump out the window. Which is far back here, and you wonder, well, why? How, what did we achieve by opening the submarine dock? And the answer to that question is I don't know. So it's not an answer at all. I basically just don't know. But there is a shotgun on the wall, which I completely missed the first time. So I did this whole section without a gun, which, as you can imagine, was fairly difficult. But yeah, there's a submarine here. I don't know if we can actually get on the submarine. We can, but I don't think we can actually get in it. If we can, then we'll just skip that. We can open that one. And then there's a bit of a downtime area, which is just solely, I think, for exploration. I don't think we can get in there. Nope. It's solely just for exploration purposes, and we find this, which is obviously from Half-Life 2 at that helicopter zone. I won't bother messing about with it, but I love that sort of stuff. I love finding that sort of stuff in maps. It's really good that that's been added. So we get in here. Now, putting an M sprite on that would be 10 times better because you actually know to push the thing basically. Because there, how do I know how to push? It took me ages to work that out because there was nothing there to tell me that you could, you know, push the button. So I think you just have to kind of backtrack. All the way back to here. And the next part we go to, there's a gnome there. The next part we go to is this section over here. But you see, you don't know that. As a player, you have no idea. You just have to go anywhere, and it's really confusing. And while you're in here, you can also pick up here. Now here there is a sprite, or at least a clear sprite, and it shows you what's going on. But I think if I pushed that first and then did the submarine, which I think I did the first time, it just doesn't make any sense. But there's a lot of walking. It's very tedious. As you can see in there, it's quite cool how you can see the old, whatever it's called. also at this point I ran out of ammo as well at one point, so yeah. But that was before I had this gun. I think I'd only had the pistol at that point. So that's why. So I was running through here and these two guys were chasing me. It was confusing and frustrating. Here we go. The thing is powered. We can power it and it's, yeah. Now the long trek back. So then it starts loading up and cue the battle sequence. Actually, it'd probably be best to wait till they, you know, came out so we could actually get their guns. So it's quite a fast-paced battle, but you can just go in the teleporter and I think that's it. Yeah, so that was all the maps. That was Station 0. I think it was just too open and to get to each different place it was too long and it was very tedious to go through and very unclear. So that's what I'd say about that map. Okay, so to fulfill my legal obligation, I am now going to play through the bonus maps of TeleportVille. There are currently 3 of them. So let's get started on Signal Lost. Alright, we're now on a planet, a different planet. Now this mechanic was, for me, very difficult to learn. I think it could have been taught a lot better. For instance, if that was already on the other side and that thing was right there. Because this is what happens. This is what was happening the first time. I'm like, what's going on? So, yeah, actually, first time I got past this puzzle, I just went like that. That's literally what I did. Because that's how I thought that's what it was. I had no idea what these were. It was very broken up. These maps kind of remind me of, I guess, Quake. These style of old... Yeah, this definitely reminds me of Quake. But basically, for those of you who haven't worked it out yet, or not played it, what you got to do is throw it over the other side and then walk into the teleporter. And we are now across the other side. So once you get that, it's plain sailing from here on out. And there's also enemies as well. Because, you know, there always has to be enemies, you know. Not really. But, hey ho, there's nothing wrong with them. So then there's a string of puzzles, but you know, this is very puzzle focused, which is good. There should have been more maps like this in the actual thing. Now there's like a bottomless pit, which I always like. Well, kind of. But yeah, now we get into a combat scenario. I don't think they can see me here because I think this counts as a brush. But I guess what you can do is punt it wherever you want to punt it. So you can put it away over there, you can actually see where it lands, and then you can go in, you know, and take them, you know, fight them from behind, which is so smart. And then more spawn in, because they have to. You know, what's the map without enemies just randomly teleporting right in front of you? No, I'm joking. But that part was really, really, really smart. Albeit that these guys didn't see it, like, coming over their heads. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. It still makes the player feel smart. It certainly makes me feel smart. And then we can put it in there. We could also use that thing down there to, you know, to fire at these guys. And then there's another bottomless pit, which is quite cool as well. And here we've got more or less the same situation now. You can't actually see where you're going without exposing yourself. So we're just going to trial and error this. Well, I like to think it worked. Well, look at me, I'm so bad at combat. Look how bad I am. Right, so I think we've got to climb to the top of here. We probably needed to bring that thing with us. Did we? I don't know, probably not. I can't actually remember, but then we've got one of these progression parts of, you know, you get sometimes where you've got to work it up tier by tier. Now, this introduces like a new colour which only works with that colour of teleport, if you know what I mean. Yeah, right. So we could just drop, but I think I've probably done this wrong. I think what we should have done is we should have brought the green one up instead. Because now we're going to drop down here and we're going to get to the green one and it's not going to be the right one. Well, that works. Yeah, there we go. Because of course the green one was across there and down there anyway. Okay, that took me a while to work that one out. I think I'm supposed to do something over here. Oh look, I'm so bad. And did I forget to pull the lever? Or is it that lever over there I haven't pulled? I don't know, I can't remember. It's kind of difficult to move up and pull the levers as well. Well, it's not difficult, it just... You put it to the back of your mind, basically. Yeah, it's this one. And you're just going to do a full circle of it again. And there we go. So that map was quite good. It's good how it got you actually thinking. It was actually a good puzzle one, and it also had combat in there. It also had the mechanic where you could sneak past them using the mechanic. And that's the way it should be done. That's the way a lot of these maps in the real, the real contest should have been done. It should have had mechanics that you had to work out throughout the whole thing that was constant and, was in continuity and all that. And also it should have also been used in the combat as well. Not a lot of maps did that. That one did, and I really liked that one. Now we're on Aperture Prospekt. So basically this is just Portal. It's just Portal with a few twists. It's similar to the early version of Portal, which was actually set in the kind of style of Nova Prospekt before they actually created the Portal textures that we know today, basically. I guess you can find out information on that on I don't know, Valve News Network, stuff like that. Places like that who will tell you more about that, because I don't know much about anything beta. I'm an alpha man myself. So that thing is super annoying. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. They seem slightly broken. Just slightly though. So we've got the inclusion of turrets. I can't quite remember how to do this one. This one was a bit confusing. So I think what I did was I dealt with the turret very quickly, it wasn't really difficult to deal with the turret, but hey-ho. Now this bit, You know, yeah, these platforms I would have made much bigger because it's just fiddly. Yeah, this is just so fiddly, it's unreal. Because the idea is you grab it, but then there's that ladder, and then there's... I don't know. This needs to be wider. But here, what you can do is you can now drop that and progress on. So we know that we need the cube for that. And we know we've opened up that. So now, I think the best thing to do is bring that round. I think I threw it in the first time. Yeah, okay. So there we go. That was that. So it's not badly designed in terms of what the player's thought process. It's actually very well done. Now this bit. Oh dearie. Oh no, my word. I never actually completed this. This is the only map I never completed. So the idea, I'll try and give you the idea and see if I can do it. We gotta go in certain places and get 2 cubes. Which is fine, no. I like the fact that they're kind of side puzzles. So you know, they're just on the side, so that's how certain stuff was also done in Portal. It was like, for instance, there was one major solution to every single puzzle, but you had to complete a ton of small challenges first. Now with this one, I took them to that side first and placed them all down and had no idea what I was doing. Here, you've potentially got to let this guy out, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know what I'm achieving here. Here, you just go into here. It's not as exciting as the last puzzle. It's just basically go in, jump, and then go through, which it could have been... Why is it? Could have been much more exciting. But that's a good idea, to get these 2 cubes via different smaller puzzles. Then this thing opens up, right? And he's supposed to come and chase after us, right? Is he? What? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I literally have no idea. Like, there's not very much to go on. I mean, there was this button here, but it's really difficult to get around him. I guess that does that. But then, do I need to go back, get the cubes? Because then that's going to be like super sumo difficult. I can hear him moving. Oh, he's behind us. Well, I guess that bought us some time. But it's just very fiddly to like get away from that guy. Okay, this isn't good. Are you kidding me? Oh, he knocked that out of the way. What's going on? Like, seriously? You see, it's not giving me enough time to put the thing on before he... So surely that was fine. Like, surely I did that correctly. I put them all on. I don't... You see my issue with this is the fact that you do everything that you should do, yet it just doesn't work. And you also don't have time to... Look, is that on properly? I don't know. Okay, I guess this is kind of a way of tricking it. And then I guess you got to start turning that. What does that do? Absolutely nothing. Okay, so the next map is called Stolen Research.
Good morning. A group of deserters from before the war has developed a new defensive weapon against the Combine. Unfortunately, they're not going to share it with us.
When we took apart your suit, we found a Combine tracking device. It led them straight to us. Whoever sent you to spy on us is not who you think he is.
Turn yourself in, and I will explain everything.
So I think that this is kind of just like a prologue of what has happened before. I think whoever makes these maps has kind of done this whole story thing. I think. But yeah, so that was kind of just part of that, because I recognised the scene from before. Anyway, that's my favourite part of scenery from Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Just the snowy mountain. It's probably not used in the right context here, but that's fine, that's fine. And we go into this research lab thing. So this one's fairly simple once you know what you're doing, but getting to know what you're doing is fairly difficult. So you can use these teleporters for, you know, for spawning stuff in, obviously. So you need this box to obviously get up here. I think you go like that. Oh, there we go. So this is where the confusing part comes in, because you've got a gnome there, and you push that and you think, well, it's going to spawn another gnome. If you don't see that, that's it. You're not going to get it. You're not going to learn the mechanic. But these two are linked. I don't know if, like, the thing is though, these ones aren't linked, and you'd expect it to be consistent. But the aim is that you've got to get this. Okay, you've got to walk over here. You've got to put this on here, and then somehow you've got to ignite that without actually breaking it. Which again, it's really difficult. I think shooting it's probably the best. I've got to mess that up, haven't I? I think shooting it... and then it goes through and then I think that's a very smart puzzle, but it's not a very intuitive one, especially to learn, especially if the person doesn't see what you have to do. So, but once you're through that, it's fine. You can start that up, which in turn starts up the teleporter, and you see it slowly start to come down. These guys start to attack. They start to spawn in because of course you've got to. You see, the thing is, I think the area this is in is too small for the kind of battle that it's trying to be. I think it should be bigger if you're going to have that many combine in it. But it's not a bad attempt. But you can still shoot them. And then that's you done. You're now on top, ready for I think the final chapter of it, perhaps. So that was TeleportVille. There were one or two good maps. There were one or two maps that had good stuff in it, but needed to work on it. And then there was other maps. But I feel, with these vills, that sometimes you're going to get good vills, sometimes you're going to get bad vills. But it's good that people are making stuff for them, and it's good that I see people developing their mapping skills. Over the past 2 years I've been covering this stuff, or just under 2 years. It's been, I've seen people grow from being not very good mappers to being really good mappers. So if you're a mapper, if I've played one of your maps, keep working, keep going, take my advice, take other people's advice, because I'm not like the be all and end all for this stuff. I just have these ideas and this knowledge, but I'm not the be all and end all. So ask other people, and just playtest when you need to. So that was all for now.